Today we're going through the full review of the Slant board. I'm gonna give you my pros, my cons, whether I would recommend buying the Slant board, and at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you 3 ways that you can incorporate the Slant board into your training. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button. I post weekly content on functional bodybuilding as well as gym equipment reviews. Make sure you also hit that notifications button as well so you don't miss out on content that I post weekly. As always, I will leave the link down in the comment section below to the outfit that I have on today. You can check out my fitness apparel brand, FitGrind Apparel, at fitgrindapparel.com. If you use the code Jordan20, you'll save 20% off your first purchase. That's an exclusive code for my YouTube. So if you're interested, check it out. Like I said, links in the comments below. Go check it out after you're done watching this video. So let's hop right into the pros of the Slant board. And one of the biggest pros of the Slant board is it allows you to get those knees over the toes. Now there's a lot of benefits of getting those knees out in front of the toes. What it's gonna do is it's gonna allow you to strengthen the muscles around the knee, especially the VMO, which is that big teardrop looking muscle on the inside of your leg. Whereas when we're doing regular squats, those knees typically don't get out in front of the toes. They typically stay back in line with the ankle. And this is a huge benefit of the Slant board. It allows you to safely get those knees out over the toes while adding load or even doing it with body weight. When doing squats on the Slant board, it's gonna shift, like I said, a lot of load to that VMO. It's gonna take some emphasis away from the hamstrings and the glutes. It's really gonna shift a lot of the load to the quad. So that can help activate the quads a little bit more and emphasize those muscles a little bit more. Another huge benefit of the Slant board is it recalls a lot less ankle mobility to get into really deep squats. A lot of people have really big problems on getting into a full squat because they have really stiff ankles and calves, and that really limits them when they're doing squats. When you lift those heels like in a Slant board, when you're at that angle, it requires the ankle to not dorsiflex as much, and it allows you to get into a lot deeper squats while keeping a really vertical upright torso. So that's a huge benefit. Now, just because you don't have any ankle restrictions and maybe you can get into deep squats without the Slant board, that doesn't mean that there's not benefit to the Slant board. Like I said, the Slant board will be a lot different than just your regular squat flat on the ground. It's gonna completely change the muscles that are getting hit. It's gonna emphasize different muscles, and you're gonna be able to get into deeper squats while keeping more of an upright torso while getting those knees safely out over the toes. I think the Slant board is a great addition to people that are maybe newer and beginner to fitness and kind of an intermediate range and also advanced. I think anyone can really benefit. Now the Slant board that I have is from the Slant board guy. It's a really good design. It's got some texture on top of it, which is nice because if it didn't have this texture, it would be really easy to start slipping off that Slant board. So I'm glad they put that on there, especially if you're adding weight on any exercise, say you're holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell or a barbell. If they didn't have that texture on there, your feet would just slide right off throughout the set. So that's a great addition. The structure is really good. The quality of the build is super good. There's really no problems there. I've loaded this up with over 225 pounds on my back before. And there's been no problems as far as stability or movements or not feeling comfortable squatting on this thing. This thing's really sturdy. It's gonna hold up with heavier squats on the Slant board. Next, let's talk about the cons of the Slant board. And there's not a ton of cons of the Slant board. If I had to come up with one, I would say that the Slant board is only about 1.5 feet in width. So it's not super wide versus if you're using wedges to elevate your heels, you can kind of determine what angle you wanted, you can get your feet out. So I would say that's really the only disadvantage of the Slant board is it's only so wide. So people that are a little bit taller or maybe people that have tighter hips that need to widen their stance out a little bit more may find this to be kind of where they almost have their feet off of that Slant board where it's not super wide, but I think most people are gonna be fine with it. Usually because of the angle that your heels are up in, there's less dorsiflexion in the ankles, and that requires a lot less mobility, which people will have a lot of issues with in deep squat. So it makes it to where you don't have to have your feet quite as wide on that squat. So like I said, that's one disadvantage where you may want to look at wedges if say you're a little bit taller of an individual, or if you typically squat with a wider stance. But for most people, I think the Slant board is going to be just fine. Now, especially because the Slant board is not a super expensive tool, I think that's somewhere you could really implement it into your program, especially if you have weight equipment at home. This is something that you could add that's not a super expensive addition that is going to help you add some variety in your program, hit some different movements, and just emphasize different portions of your muscle. Now, would I recommend the Slant board? And in one word, yes, I would highly recommend the Slant board to anybody. I think that anybody that's from beginner to advanced can really implement this in their program and see a lot of benefits. It's gonna help you train different muscles than squats normally will. It's gonna help you get those knees out over the toe, which is gonna emphasize the muscles around the knees, including the VMO. It's gonna help strengthen that muscle. And it's really just gonna be a different stimulus. It's gonna allow you to play around with different stances. And in my opinion, variety is a huge tool that people overlook in their training. And if you can just slightly tweak little things up here and there, I think that's a huge pro in my book. So with all that said, let's hop into 3 ways that you can implement it into your program this week. We're gonna talk about a couple strength, and then you can also use it for some stretching. The first way that we can implement the slant board into our training is using it as a warm-up. So what I really like to do is I like to do some single leg heel taps. What this is gonna do is it's gonna prime your knees getting out over the toes. It's going to really fire your hips and your quads and really just get a good amount of blood flow to the legs. Now with this, try and keep an upright torso as much as possible, work as much range of motion as you can. I would do anywhere from like 10 to 15 reps on each leg and do anywhere from like 1 to 2 sets before your workout. That's really gonna help prime the knees, and eventually you can progress to being able to do single leg pistol squats. The second way that we can implement the slant board into our program is working on strength and working on really deep squats. So like I was talking about earlier, the slant board is really good at allowing us to get into a really deep squat and requiring less ankle mobility versus a regular squat. Those ankles are going to have to dorsiflex a little bit more, and you're going to need a little bit more skill and more mobility to get to deep squat positions. That's the beauty of the slant board, is it really allows us to get into that deep squat while keeping upright torso and really emphasize the quads in the VMO. Now, over time, you're going to have to start off at a lighter weight in the beginning. When you first do these is going to be a lot more challenging in the beginning. Over time, you're going to be able to add some weight on these. So start off light, and then eventually you can start to build strength just like you would on a regular squat or a deadlift or a bench press. Over time, you're slowly going to start to add weight. You're slowly going to start to add reps. But I would really focus on mastering the form first, focusing on letting the knees drift forward while keeping an upright torso. It's going to be a little bit different of a squat pattern than you're used to if you've done barbell squats in the past before, not on a slant board. The final way that we can implement the slant board into our training is using it for stretching. So like I was talking about earlier, a lot of people have really stiff ankles and calves and hamstrings, and I'm guilty of that. This is a great way that you can stretch your hamstrings, ankles, and calves with one move, especially by pinning yourself in. Now, try to focus on not letting your back round. Focus on just moving your hips back and hinging from the hips, just like a Romanian deadlift. And you're going to feel a really big stretch in your hamstrings. You're going to feel a really big stretch in your calves and your ankles if you're really tight in those areas. And this is a great way we can work on mobility. Now, what I would do is I would focus on holding this position for anywhere from 60 to 90, even 2 minutes. And you can even do the single leg variation that I'm showing you here too as well. So this is a great way that you can implement your program. Add all 3 of these next week. Let me know how you like it down in the comments. So if you enjoyed that video, make sure to give me a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button if you have not already done so. I'm going to leave a video in the comment section below where I'm going to take you through the full leg workouts and show you how you can really incorporate that slant board into a program and how you can program it into your workout. So like I said, the link to that will be in the comments below. Go watch that video next. And if you're interested, like I said, I will leave the link to my outfit today down in the comment section below. You can go check out my fitness apparel brand, Fit Grind Apparel, at fitgrindapparel.com. Like I said, you can use that Jordan 20 code for 20% off your first order. Go check it out. I'm a huge believer in the quality of the products we're putting on the market. So, like I said, if you're interested, go check it out. Go save yourself some money. So with all that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.